If you're in the Cinema 4D scene, Greyscalegorilla needs no introduction.
Hey everybody, it's Nick here from Greyscalegorilla.
Hey, what's going on everybody? Chad here from Greyscalegorilla.
Over the years, the team has managed to create a huge collection of assets for C4D users. There's this one line on the website in particular that I think perfectly describes the service. And it's this first part, the handcrafted materials, that we're going to focus on today. The team has been working on a new collection of materials that I think a lot of people will find interesting. And to help us learn more about this new set of materials, we'll have Chad from Greyscalegorilla walk us through the building process. Let's go! This new collection of materials is called Tactile, and it covers two different areas: unfinished wood and clay. What makes this selection of materials unique is the fact that the diffuse, roughness, and normals are all captured from real-world surfaces. So the materials have all these scratches, bumps, and tiny imperfections of a real surface, which in turn leads to better looking and realistic renders.
Well, starting back at the beginning, we wanted to do something different in the space, and we wanted to bring our point of view to assets and specifically materials. And I saw what was happening in the landscape and saw what other people were doing, and I just wanted to do something a little bit different and come up with a whole pipeline that's based on curation and sort of an artist-driven approach to making materials that are useful and beautiful. And there was kind of a gap in the marketplace for that sort of thing, something that's heavily curated, that works together, that has really amazing detail. And so we basically built a pipeline for Tactile from scratch, starting with we have a coordinator who actually sources stuff for us, and she has a background in interior design. Cool. So she's a designer, I'm a designer, and we kind of brainstorm things that we want to bring in and capture, and then she puts together mood boards of stuff that we should capture, and a collection is born from that, and we get that material into the studio. We have an actual studio space here for Tactile and assets. We have 3-4 artists in here, and so we built a pipeline that starts with that at the core, coming up with a cohesive collection that works together and is on trend and is beautiful and could fit right into a motion designer's palette. So from there, it gets captured through an optical scan process. So we're able to actually capture every single PBR pass on that surface.
So it's an actual scanning process.
We like to think of it more as it is a scan, but we call it capturing, because in our heads, scanning just sounds so mechanical and robotic, it doesn't really capture that's why we call it capturing the surface, because we're capturing its current state. We're capturing as it is. We're not to me, scan just sounds like something a robot would do, but we have artists throughout this entire process. So yeah, we're capturing it through an optical process. And then we're bringing it into some proprietary tools that sit on top of Substance that we're able to make everything tileable, extract things that we need, push things that we need. And then it goes through we have an entire back-end pipeline that then takes it and makes the assets usable inside of Cinema 4D and all of the renderers. But yeah, and it's driven by the Tactile ethos, I guess, is this artist-driven, curated approach, making materials that you just the name of it kind of came about because the materials, when you see the normal maps, which I'm sure you've looked at, you can feel them, you feel like you can touch them, they're they're just there, they're real, and so the word Tactile kept coming around, and we were this is actually a really cool name for this little sub brand of assets.
Both sets of materials cover a big range. So for wood, we have birch, maple, oak, plywood, and variations, so it's easy to find exactly the type of wood surface needed for your project. I've built a really simple scene to experiment with the wooden materials, and I was quite impressed by the results. I didn't really have to do much to make things look good. I just applied the material and then messed around with the scale and the bump values. And that's really it. It's really easy to get a good looking result.
For the wood, the unfinished wood, we partnered up with a lumber house and went out and examined all these different species of wood, and we learned all about these different properties of the wood and really went deep into it. And I don't know if you saw any of the stuff that we put out in the video, but have you ever heard of the term chatoyance? Have you ever heard of that before?
No.
Well, neither have I, dude. I didn't know what it was either till we were there talking to this guy, and he's like, "Oh yeah, this one, this particular species, I think it might have been like hickory or something." He's like, "This one's got really good chatoyance." We're like, "Wait, what's that? What's that word? Like, what does that mean?" He's like, "Well, wood can contain almost like metal-like properties in it, very similar to a cat's eye. Like a cat eye almost like looks metallic in certain angles and stuff, right?" Well, that phenomenon is called chatoyance, and it's actually in wood too, something to do with the grain pattern or something, or how it's grown. And when we brought that wood back to the studio and we brought it through our capture process, we were actually capturing the metalness in the wood, which is chatoyance. Mm-hmm. So our wood actually has a metalness map that is doing that chatoyance. So if you're at a glancing angle, you can kind of see it's a little bit metallic. So like that's the lengths in which we are going to try to bring unprecedented like quality, but like also beautiful.
As good as the unfinished wood is, the clay collection is on a whole other level. There's so much variety there, and it's divided into 4 sections: fine, rough, sculpting, and clay dough. And the detail there is quite extraordinary. I've tried pretty much all the materials available, and at points the whole experience was a bit overwhelming. There's a ton of choice there, so you definitely have to spend some time and play around with all the different surfaces in order to find the one you need. At some point I decided to focus on one specific type, so I chose terracotta. As you can see, the geometry is really simple and smooth, but once we apply the material and mess around with the scale, we immediately get a level of detail that could not be easily done any other way.
Honestly, this entire tactile process that we have was like born from me wanting to do clay, because I've just wanted to have that collection myself. And
it's not a type of material you usually find in a collection or anything, so it's good that it's
because it's really hard. It's really hard to get the fingerprints and the smudges and the scratches, and like, because you're faking it if you're doing it in Substance Designer, or you're doing something with your camera or something. But yeah, this is you're getting every little detail. But the rough clay, and so then like our process, when we decided we wanted to do clay, I teamed up with a ceramicist, and we picked her brain on different styles of clay. And then we were researching maquette building and what kind of clay do you use for maquette building. And then we, wanted to do clay dough or Play-Doh. And so we researched, well, what are, can we get industrial sized tubs of Play-Doh? And we did. Funny story. Like we bought industrial tubs of generic Play-Doh.
Okay.
And it was white, because we're like, okay, we'll capture it white, and then we'll add the color later, right? And so we did that, and because we're just insane about this stuff. Like we looked at it and we're like, it's just not quite like Play-Doh. It's just not quite like that.
Yeah, that's not the same. Yeah.
It's not quite the same. So Jake and I, we went to every store like within like a 10-mile radius of the studio, and we bought every single container of Play-Doh that they had. We had shopping carts. Our trunk was no lie, like filled with Play-Doh. And we brought it all back to the studio, and we studied it. We looked at its properties, and we were like, this is what we just have to do the real thing. We can't do this generic white stuff. In fact, let's capture it and capture the colors. So the Play-Doh collection is actual real Play-Doh. that's been captured, the color, everything. So we're not like faking any of that. And you really get something, you can feel it. It's different. There's like a nuance to it that you can sense. But then we met with the ceramicist, and she gave us, all these different types of clays that are used in ceramics and sculpting. So the rough and the fine come from actual ceramicist clay. It's a B-mix clay, and you can get them in different, colors and grits and stuff. So the fine is like super fine, something that you would like maybe make a coffee mug out of, or sculpt a creature or something. And then the rough has like more of a gritty, like you can see little bits of sand in the clay and all that. But then the sculpting clay is really interesting because in VFX, VFX use this stuff called monster clay, and it's a wax-based clay. It doesn't dry up, and so we melted down vats of this stuff, and we messed it all up, and we captured it. So like, the sculpting clay is actually the same kind of clay that they use to do maquettes in films. So if you have a character that you want to get approved by your client or something, and you could like put that on there, and they'd be like, "Oh my God, did you sculpt this for real? Like, what is this?"
The great news is that this is not a one-off set of materials. The team plans to keep adding more and more materials using this new capturing workflow. So there are definitely more detailed materials on the way. How long does it usually take, like, to capture like one material, let's say?
So one material, the capturing is actually takes the least amount of time for the entire process. The most time is spent sourcing, finding the stuff, shipping it here, making sure it's right, testing it. But a capture, like from beginning to material in the library, can take maybe a day. Maybe a little bit less, probably. And obviously we're not doing one at a time. We're doing full collections. So, and we're just like, we're playing, we're just having fun. We're thinking of things that we've got, like a laundry list of things that we're going to be bringing into it. But yeah.
So there's going to be like more of the Tactile collection, let's say.
Oh, absolutely. This is a new class of asset for us. So we're going to make other assets that aren't Tactile, like HDRIs and stuff like that. But this Tactile brand of assets, we're going to be continuously giving new stuff. Like we've got, I think, probably we've got up until the middle of next year planned out.
Okay. Cool.
So we have that much, and that's just going to keep growing and growing. So if you're a Plus member, you're going to be getting new Tactile stuff all the time, and you got to get a new hard drive because like these things are freaking enormous.
I've noticed I installed everything on my NAS instead of the internal hard drive because I only have 1 terabyte of disk space on the computer. So I installed everything there. It's like, oh, okay, that was a good decision.
So I would say that like if I had to criticize us in any certain area, it would be that that we are actively working on trying to make life easier on your hard drive. But it's a delicate balance because we want to offer, 4K tileable materials with all these different channels, lossless, so that, in the past we had done everyday material collection, which was like, admittedly, I was very new to the asset game and, JPEGs, but that's not going to cut it for Tactile.
Yeah.
Like we can't have lossy compressions. But we're actively working on it. We might offer someday in the future ways to ease that burden. But
maybe
so
like a 2K version or something like that, or
either
not at all. Okay.
Yeah, there's that's an option. Like go down a notch in the resolution, or offer a JPEG version next to the EXR version.
Okay.
Something like that. We're looking into that. So if you're out there and you're like, oh my God, these things are enormous, like we're working on it. We're, like I said, we're a really small team, but we are working on it.
I would say if you're working on a project that requires these types of materials, or if there's a project coming up, definitely give the materials a try. The level of quality is really high, and the fact that you don't really have to spend time adjusting things is a huge time saver. You can definitely just drag a material on an object, and 9 times out of 10 it's going to look great. If you want to, you can go in and start adjusting values and node setups, but it's not necessary. What is next for like the Greyscalegorilla assets, or is there anything else you're planning to do? Because currently you're focusing on cinema, right?
Currently, we're focused on cinema, and
Yeah.
I think that the assets are like kind of like the perfect way to like maybe expand one step out of cinema at some point. And that's on our mind for sure, and we're looking at what cinema artists are also adding to their tool set. Are they adding Unreal? Are they adding Houdini? Are they adding Blender? Like, we're watching to see where people are going to be going. And then the plan is to just kind of like try to help where we can, like we have these assets, they're PBR, so technically they could go anywhere. We just happen to wrap them up into a material in cinema because that's just, where we live. But yeah, we are definitely looking at helping artists that are adding other DCCs to their tool set for sure.
Because I'm sure like there are a lot of people who, I don't know, like Blender users or whatever, who would like to use these assets, because there's like a ton of materials there. Like I devoted a day just going through all the materials, and it's like an insane amount of stuff. So
I know, dude. We've been working hard. So yes, we see that too, and I think I'm gonna predict that when we release or announce the new Tactile type of asset, I think we're gonna have a lot more people being like, well, can I just like get these, and like, can I just go use them over here? And we are having meetings upon meetings trying to help figure that out, so that we're gonna get there. We're definitely gonna get there, and I don't know what path it's gonna be yet or where it's gonna go, but we feel the same way. We feel like we've got this new plan, this new class of assets, and they're so good. And I'm not just saying that because, I made them or I work here, but like they're good. They're really good. And I think they're going to be useful to other people outside of just our little world. We just have to figure out how to get there. And we're still kind of in the planning phase for that. But it is something that we're talking about a lot.
It's interesting to hear the process the team went through to capture the assets. I personally enjoy this inside baseball talk, and I hope you guys do too. I'll have the link for Greyscalegorilla's site in the description below, but I'm pretty sure it's not really needed. Most C4D users are already aware of it. And that's about it for this video. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.